What's up, guys? Chris here with Gaming Kinda, and it is time for my Beyond Light initial impressions. I'm hoping to get into Shadowlands for the pre-patch Scourge event today. The sun's already down, so it may be first thing in the morning. But let's talk about Beyond Light. So I ended up playing it on Stadia because the GeForce patch just didn't roll out. That's a separate frustration. I don't know whose fault that is, but it just feels like a disappointment that a platform that I typically think of with such polish, the way it synchronizes with all of your Steam library and stuff, it just, for such polish, it feels odd that such a major title would not be ready for so many hours. So to not get totally derailed by that, I found that disappointing when typically of the two, like Steam or Stadia is the one that gets memed on more, and like it was a pretty smooth launch. I know everybody had varying experiences with whether or not their client showed is available today, downloading the patch, getting in, how long was your wait time, how stable was it once you were there. But content wise, this brings me back to kind of two major thoughts. The first is it's really hard to review expansions on day one, because day one it's filled with technical bugs. The content that's available there is not typically the content that people are talking about when they talk about beloved or heavily disliked expansions of games past. We like to kind of put on a set of glasses and say hindsight was 2020, and either rose tint those glasses and say that a great expansion had a great launch, whether or not that's true. And we tend to also say that a bad expansion, I knew from the start. And I don't think that that's often the case. Occasionally a launch is so bad that a game can't recover from it, but that's very rare. I mean, you're looking at, and even then, like, you say that now, but you never know. No Man's Sky looked like it was having that, and yet here we are. No Man's Sky is a great game to go hop into now. Especially when you think about what a rocky start it had out of the gate from largely avoidable stuff. So I keep getting off topic here, but like that's starting to sum up kind of how I'm feeling. My experience with Destiny is I played a ridiculous amount of Destiny 1. Destiny 2 I played a lot on launch, and then through just bumbles and controversies of their own making, whether you want to blame Activision for that, or once they separated you want to blame them for, it doesn't matter who you want to blame. Destiny 2 has had a lot of missteps and a lot of like self-forced errors. When you think about, like, when you watch a sports team, sometimes one team just gets outplayed, but sometimes it's that the other team has a lot of forced errors. They're putting themselves in needless penalties and so on, and that's ultimately, they're losing the game more so than the other team is winning. And so when I compare Destiny to other games, the history of it and my relationship with that history, it's mostly centered on what feels like forced errors. It feels like they don't finish a thought, or they don't quite get their footing. When you see something like Final Fantasy XIV go into Shadowbringers coming off of a decently well-received expansion and, just settle down and get ready and just come out of the gate swinging. Smooth launch, smooth pre-launch, fan fests were great, media tour was great, expansion was unbelievably critically acclaimed out of that, and then they just kept wailing. Like, the judge would have to stop the fight at this point, because like they've just hit with patch after patch of beloved content. And if anything, it's suffered from burnout because people haven't felt that they should take a break from such a great game. Destiny hasn't had that, and so for me, it's a lot of breaks. I come and I go, and this is no different than any other time I've come back to Destiny. I am immediately reminded why I love Destiny, and it's that the core gameplay is fun. The shooting is fun. The story is well told. The environments are immersive. They've added environmental detail like wind pushing back my sparrow, and they've added quest types that, I have to kill a certain number of things without dying, and I'm trying not to spoil too much here, but like there's just an inventiveness to the gameplay and to the environment and to the place that I'm in, and the way it starts from the sky all the way down to the way I touch the earth, the guns I hold, the things I fight, the lighting. It just feels good. It feels like I am holding my pathway to a guardian. And anything that disconnected from me from that is tied to input lag, tied to streaming services. I'm working on fixing that as I moved closer and closer to my gaming PC. All my parts are arriving on different days this week. And the gameplay's just fun. And like all I could think all day is I cannot wait to play this on real hardware. I love this game. The pit of my stomach, the early distractions that I mentioned just a second ago was the other part of my thought. It's a fear of what happens on the other side. The UI feels good. There's so many quality of life things here that just feel good, even for, people that I was hanging out with that have played a lot consistently. There's just a quality of life to it, and there's so much that feels good about this. I was not ready to try it on my Xbox. I will probably later in the week, but because I was playing with other people, like the load times of an Xbox One X, I think if you're not on a Series X, it's going to be beautiful gameplay followed by like elevator music as you wait through load screens. That's just a tough thing that it struggles with. That's just a thing that Destiny has always been one of its downfalls. But I think my bigger fear coming out of my initial impressions is this is so fun, and I don't know why I'm gonna quit this time. Like, I don't know how either the season model is not going to engage me. Season models, through no fault of Destiny's, don't engage me in any game. Seasons just aren't really my thing. It doesn't make me want to keep PvPing in an MMO. It doesn't make me... It doesn't do much for me. So I think that is probably one of the dominating free-to-play models right now, where instead of pushing a loot box or a heavy cosmetic store, you say, hey, why don't you partner with us for an amount of time? We'll give you loot to that. We'll have a free entry, low barrier to entry for everybody else, but you can have a premier full-fledged experience as if you purchase the game for each season. And then that way, if the game lasts longer than a typical $60 flat pay one time and you're done game, we continue to get supported as devs, and you feel like you've only paid for what you've received. So I do think it's a fair model. It's just something that doesn't speak to me personally, and maybe I'll come around on it, or maybe that's the sign of me getting old. Maybe that's, kids these days, get off my lawn, whatever. So I think that's where I'm starting to struggle, is that I'm having so much fun, and I've come into Destiny and had so much fun so many times, and I've thought all these same thoughts. Just the level of greatness that comes out of every time I hop in either right before or right as there's a new content drop. It's awesome, it's wonderful, and inevitably I leave. And so I'm wondering, like, what the set of either reasons or lack of reasons, it could just be apathy, what's going to cause me to just either drift off or actually run away from this game. What is the controversy surrounding the studio? What is the gameplay loop that's just missing? What is the technical bug that they keep saying is going to get fixed and it just doesn't? What is that thing? And I'm just nervous. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that's just through almost like a conditioning that they've put me through. And what if there isn't one? Like, what if they just roll this out? This is basically a new client. This is Destiny 3. It's a huge download because they basically rolled out an all new build from the ground up. And if this just feels good, and if their vault system ends up working well to make old content cycle in, and what if this is it? What if this is Destiny, and the way I feel today is the way I'll feel a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 6 months from now? If so, like, I want to look back at this moment and tell me now, like, just chill. It's a great game. You're having fun, and that's good enough. My initial impression is this is awesome, but my experience with the franchise still makes me hesitant to say you should go spend your hard-earned money on this in a season when we have so many other games to choose from. Because of the delays, this winter is going to be slam-packed. Today we had everything from an Apple launch to a WoW pre-patch event to this. There's people were talking about games that weren't even on my radar coming out this month. We've got the WoW expansion is going to be dominating my time. Final Fantasy's in a great cycle. You know, Boja's awesome content. Brian and I got to do that today while everything wasn't live. And as we go into next month, obviously Cyberpunk is probably going to take the month of December for most people. And then anything that gets pushed out of this year, keep in mind, through all of the dozens of titles that it seems are coming in between now and kind of the Christmas holiday season, and around the new consoles, which is so weird that there's people who already have them, to people who they're on their way, to people who have been told by certain retailers, we'll tell you when we tell you. All of this will push into probably a jam-packed spring. So I'm struggling with Destiny, that I'm having such a blast, and like the only thing stopping me from playing right now is that I'm recording this video. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to play more. I'm not done with the story yet. I'm pushing through. I had a lot of fun. There were occasional bugs where like I was with a group and then my quest just didn't pop up and I had to go back and replay it, but that's just day one bugs, doesn't bother me. Their servers are dealing with a lot, the number of bugs to fix. So like, are those the little bugs that right now they're charming and it's just, oh, it's part of the rush and it's because there's just so many people loving the game I'm loving? To 2 weeks from now, okay, you've had your time. That's not cute anymore. Fix it. And so like, I don't know where it's gonna fall off, but maybe it won't. Like maybe I'm just nervous for no reason, and this is really gonna be the time that finally hooks me, and other games are just gonna have to make way, because Destiny's gonna be a new consistent thing in my life, and it's not just gonna be a seasonal love affair, where, you know, at the end of that season, not necessarily tied to their seasons, but at the end of Chris's season, that season will come to a close and I will go to doing something else with that time. So that's really my thoughts. That's my initial impressions. I'll look back on this video and really have to decide, like, okay, I really liked the content. It was really fun. I should have been calmer, and it was going to be okay, and it was going to be amazing. Or you know what? You should have just hurried through the story, beat it, and put the game down, and come back when there's another big round of content. Because some MMOs are like that, where you just want to come in for the big content cycle, and then you want to take a break. There are people who play 14 that way. They come in right before an expansion, they play through it. Maybe they come in one or two other times throughout the cycle. There's people who play WoW like that. There's like 6 months between expansions. If you're not a Mythic Raider, you can easily come in, try the new thing, see if it hooks you. If not, put it down. There's a lot of games that it's easy to treat it more like a series of single player iterations, that you just happen to carry your character forward in. So I think on that note, guys, I'm going to go play more Destiny, and then at some point, whenever Brian's not available, I'm going to hop into the Scourge event, because he's not yet level 50. If you guys want to hang out with us over on Work to Game, with the number 2, over on Twitch, that is where we're streaming. Our stream schedule is a little all over the place with these launches, but we typically are trying to do Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. That will change and update and be an ever fluid thing as we go through a holiday season and stuff, as we all at least try to celebrate holiday with friends and family, or celebrate friends and family through Zoom or whatever we do. But the idea behind all of this hardware that's been slowly appearing, I saw a few of you have noticed it, is that I am moving to kind of increasing the number of stream hours that Brian and I put out in the universe. And so that'll all be on Work to Game. Around a partner push, we may have to focus on one game, because that's what Twitch kind of favors, is more consistent stacks. But ideally, by having both of us play, you guys are getting a whole mix of all the games that we know and love, not just kind of 14 that we're known for, or the things that you guys have seen popping up over on his big personal channel, Ginger Prime, or this, where you're getting just my side of the thoughts. So thank you for all of you that have hit subscribe. It's awesome to see so many of you coming over. The supportive comments are appreciated. It's easy to struggle with getting motivated when, you know, like, I don't even have all the features unlocked on YouTube. So like, I go to tag something and that doesn't work the way it does for channels with more than 1,000 subs. And so like, YouTube's just made it like it's a big disparity between when I upload something to Work to Game and I upload something here on the same day. And like, it literally feels like one process is faster. I have different tools on the back end. And so as this grows, y'all's comments are an immense amount of motivation to keep posting as it grows to being a size where YouTube decides that I'm not just going to post crap. You know, they don't care about the quality of the video as long as it's not offensive. So thank you guys. I hope you have a fantastic day. This was a fun post to make, and I'm excited to go play more Destiny, and really spend my week talking about all kinds of gaming, and just anything tied to that. See you next time.